Okay. So before we begin today's session, let us all first remind ourselves that it is because we have been at the mercy of the Supremely Enlightened One, the Perfect One, the Omniscient One, that we have the gift of Dhamma today. It is because of Him we have the privilege of walking the path, understanding and comprehending the Dhamma to help us redeem ourselves from the shackles of samsara. And bearing that in mind, let us all first take a moment to pay homage to the Lord Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. In order to begin, let's all take a moment to observe the 5 precepts. And as I remind you, as usual, think not that this is the right, but rather a privilege. These are the precepts which we should vow to instill within ourselves, not precepts that we should aim to observe artificially every day, in the hope and determination and resolve that may this be the last time I have to observe these precepts. May the virtue entailed within these precepts become part and parcel of my conscience. Let us take a moment to observe them. And in order to do so, I ask you all to repeat after me and all together. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dhammaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Saṅghaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dutiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dutiyampi dhammaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dutiyampi saṅghaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi dhammaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi saṅghaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Saranāgamaṇaṃ sampunnaṃ, Pānātipātā vēramaṇī sikkhapaдаṃ samādhiyāmi. Adinādānā vēramaṇī sikkhapaдаṃ samādhiyāmi. Kāmesu miccāchārā vēramaṇī sikkhapaдаṃ samādhiyāmi. Musāvādā vēramaṇī sikkhapadaṃ samādhiyāmi. Suramera majjapamā daṭṭhānā vēramaṇī sikkhapadaṃ samādhiyāmi. Tisaranena saddhiṃ pañcasīlaṃ dhammaṃ sādhukaṃ surakkitaṃ katvā appamādena sampādetabbam. Okay, you may now all be seated. So this time round, I've prepared some presents because we are going to start a competition. Everybody likes a present? What's the competition? Or staying awake? Who can stay awake the longest? Up for it? Yeah? Is that the better competition, or is it who can stay asleep the longest? We can play either one, whichever you fancy. So today we are all going to try our best, yes? To remain awake, because to be mindful you have to be awake. How can you be mindful if you can't be awake, right? So we're all going to try and do that. It's not going to be easy, I guarantee that, I give you that. But we're going to try. We're going to try our level best. And that's what effort is. Exerting yourself, samma vayam. Because what we are about to do is not an easy feat. All the bad things we've done in samsara, all the trouble we've caused other people, and all those occasions in which we hindered other people's progress in the Dhamma, the chickens are coming home to roost. So this is an uphill battle. It's an uphill fight, but you can all do it. We can all do it. It's already 2:30. I was expecting you an hour ago. So what time do you want to finish today? You tell me. What time are we supposed to finish? Because accordingly then I have to make a plan as to how we're going to be doing the session. Because I understand you have a long way to go, and even after you get to Alanmatini Arami, then some of you have further to go. Okay. That's AM, yeah? Tomorrow. If you're not being specific, I'll take it the way I want it. Alright. There's a lethal weapon. It's a lethal weapon. And it's a very dangerous lethal weapon that kills us very slowly. Do you know what that is? Shall I give you a hint? People say time is a healer. On the contrary, time's a killer. There's only one healer that I know. That's the Dhamma. Time is no healer. Time's a killer. It's killing all of you. Slowly, gradually, but surely. Look at what time has done to you. Did you check yourself in the mirror before you left home? Why do you have to check yourself in the mirror before you leave home? That's the most important question to ask. Not did you, but why did you have to? Well, because you know that time has done a lot to you. Did you check yourself in the mirror, Puta, before you left home today? No, of course not. You don't need to. Not yet anyway. Come up here for a moment, if you could please. Stand here. Now look that way. Can you see what time does to people? Look at all of them. Carefully observe them. They were all like you one day. But now look at them. Look at what time has done to them. You can feel sad for them. Don't feel sorry for them. We must feel sorry for ourselves. Thank you. Do you know what time stands for? I think it's an acronym. Total incapacitation with mental exasperation. Is that not what time does to you? And you're telling me time's a healer? They should be facing the other way. Because it's not me who's in a rush. I don't know why that's facing me. It's not me who needs the constant reminder, because I'm reminded of that every single day. Even today, Guru Hamdru asked me, "Why are you still in bed?" He didn't know it was late last night when I fell asleep. But he asked me this morning, "Why are you still in bed? Isn't there something you're supposed to be doing right now?" Do you have that person at home who constantly keeps reminding you? I'm not talking about it's time to do your homework. I'm not talking about it's time to do the dishes, it's time to cook, it's time to get to work. That's not what I'm talking about. The bus is going to be here in 5 minutes. That ain't what I'm talking about. You don't know you were all his age once, right? Look at what time's done to you. Did you see how many of them had glasses on? Did you see how many of them had grey hair? Time. And if you stood here long enough, Buddha, if you keep coming here every day, and you take count, before long you'll see that the numbers will start dropping. You can then ask about that lady. She used to come every week. Where's she now? Time took her. It's a silent killer. Stay quiet for a moment and see if you can hear it. You know, in a movie, when the killer approaches, right, there's sound effects. da, 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 da. Or they play the devil's note. There's a devil's note, right? In music, I think there's a thing called the devil's note. It's this really unsettling note on the keyboard. I can't remember what it is now. It's E minor or something. I can't remember now. But there's a key called the devil's note, and it's that noise that they put into movies and things like that to put the sense of fear into people. At least when the killer approaches, you know there's danger aloof. Something's not right. There's background music, something's not right. But this killer, silent. Can you hear it? Pay attention. Be really quiet. Can you hear it? Time. We're all up against it. You know, the thing is, this is the real battle, our battle against time. How do you know something you own versus something you've borrowed? How do you tell the difference between the two? In really simple terms. If you own something, then you get to keep it forever. And if you borrowed something, you've got to return it. Either in small chunks or all at once, you've got to return it. What's the one thing you've all been doing ever since you opened your eyes for the first time? Have you not been returning something you borrowed? Time. Because if time belonged to you, you wouldn't have aged. But look at what we've all been doing ever since we came into this world. Thinking about that's all we did in samsara. Borrowed it, paid it back. Borrowed it, paid it back. Borrowed it, paid it back. And you can't stop it. What's gone's gone. You can't get it back. You can't borrow anymore. Look at what it's done to you. Think for a moment. Today you can't sit up straight. It's time that's done it to you. Today, yes, you used to have a full head of hair. Today you don't have a single strand. It's time that's done it to you. This heartless, ruthless killer, silent killer. This is the real battle that we need to fight. The battle against time. We've all borrowed precious time to have been born human. Ever since you became a human, what did you do? Start paying it back. Can you ask for more? Like Oliver Twist did? Please, sir, can I have some more? You got to do with what you've been given. You know, that is the thing. A lot of people complain, I don't have time. Right? People have lots of excuses. One of the best excuses ever, right? I just don't have the time. How can you expect me to do all of these things? I don't have the time. You can come up with a list of excuses. You know, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do this, the other thing. How can you expect me to do what you're asking me to do on top of all of these things I have to do? I just don't have the time. Says the man, who doesn't understand the value of time. A person who understands the value of money will never complain, I don't have enough money. Because he or she will never be in a position where he or she has to complain that he hasn't got enough money. Those who complain about the brevity of time are those who don't understand the value of it. If you ever complained, I don't have enough time, that's because you've not been clever enough to figure out how you ought to use the time you have. We all have got exactly the same time, 24 hours a day. How much do you have? We've all got 24 hours. He had 24 hours a day. That hasn't changed in 2,500 years. It's what we do with the time we have that matters. And look at what time has done to you. And look at what time is going to be doing to you. It's not done yet. Time, you haven't defeated yet. You still haven't defeated time, and that's a pretty damn warning. You still haven't, none of us have still defeated time. So it's picked up arms and it's threatening to kill us. Time's the killer. Time's not the healer, ladies and gentlemen. Time's the killer. The inevitable killer. You could escape all other obstacles. You could escape all other enemies, but there's one enemy you can't escape. Yes? You can't escape time. The only time you become independent of it, the only time you become victorious in the face of time, is when no matter what time does to you, doesn't bother me. That's when you become a victorious person. There's a name for people like that. Arahants. The day you become an Arahant, now you can say in the face of time, hey, do whatever the hell you like to me. I'm okay with that. But can you say that now? It's stabbing you from behind and you don't even know it. Because there's poison on the tip. It's a really sharp knife. You don't even know you've been cut, but the poison has infiltrated. The poison's been put into your system and it's killing you. Look at what 60 years has done to you. Look at what 50 years has done to you. Look at what 40 has done to you. 30, 20. If only you stood here, you'd be able to see what another 20 years will do to you. If you're 20, come up here, look the other way, and now you'll see what another 20 years will do to you. If you're 30, come here, look the other way, now you'll see what another 20 years will do to you. If you're 40, 50, come here, look the other way, and you'll see what another 20 years will do to you. And this is not sudden death even. It's slow, painful, silent death. Your biggest enemy, ladies and gentlemen. Your biggest enemy, time. When's the day you're going to become victorious? Isn't that the biggest battle we have? Isn't that the greatest battle we have? Because you know what? Whenever you're not doing anything, to become indispensable to time. To be indispensable is to be unaffected by time. Unless you're doing something to become indispensable to time, time's killing you. All the abhisankaras that you do, time's like, carry on, mate. Look at your lives. Look at all the things you've done in the last 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. Did you do one thing that helped you to become indispensable in the face of time? All the abhisankara you did. Every single one of them. Every pot of rice you cooked. Every job you worked at. Every hour you spent at the workplace. Time won. Every single time. Because what did time do? Took you closer to total incapacitation. It's coming, right? If you're not there yet, it's coming. Go. Think about your grandparents for a moment. Look at what time did to them. Think about your parents for some of you. It's okay. Let it be. We've got bigger problems to worry about. Look at what time did to your grandparents. Look at what time did to your parents. Following on from that, look ahead at what time's going to do to you. Total incapacitation. Is it not coming? Total incapacitation. From head to toe, incapacitation. Today you can open your eyes and look at me. Today you can hear me. Not for very long. Time's on you. One day time's going to say, time's up. You're going to hear the last talk one day. And for every moment you spend not doing something about it, you're also going down mental exasperation. That's the other half of it. This is vexation I'm talking about. Complete mental exasperation, frustration. Just think about old people that you might have come across in life. You know, older than you, 5 years, 10 years older than you. Just think about them. If you've been to a hospital lately, if you can remember, right? Those of you who work with the elderly people, your grandparents. This is why I said, you can feel sad about people like that, but sorry is misplaced with them. Feel sorry for yourself. Because that's where we're all heading. One day it's going to be time's up. That's the day where you will have paid back all that you borrowed. You will be lent no more. Unless you've done something with the time that you were given, you will be given no more. You know, this is like being dealt a hand of cards. You don't know what card you're going to get. It's at random. Do you know what you're going to be born in your next birth? It's a pack of cards. You don't know what hand you're going to be dealt next. And when you're dealt it, you've got to take it. The only thing you can do is take the hand you've got and do the best you can with it. Most of you will played cards. I was really bad at it. But there was one thing I do know. You can't pick the card you want. You got to do with what you've got. So there's no good complaining about it. I think last week I reminded you. No matter what age you are, it's never too late. When it's too late, you'll know. Because then you'll hear the last talk. Then it's too late. Because that clock's going to go tick, 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 time's up. Yes or no? How many times has that said time's up to people just like yourselves? The clock that you've got at home, in your own home, how many times has it by now said time's up to other people? Your father lived in the same house. So did your mother. Your husband was there. Was. Not is. Was. It said time's up. Well, it's only a matter of time before it says the same thing to you. Time's up, darling. Time to go. You can't do anything about the total incapacitation. But you can do something about the mental exasperation. You can do something about it. I'm not talking about the total incapacitation. We've just got to be ready to accept that when it comes. You know, time tried to give you warnings throughout your lives. It tried to warn you, hey, this is what's going to happen to you. Prepare yourself. Remember when you had a cyst in your eye and you had to keep it closed for a day or maybe 2 days? It was just a cyst. But that was time trying to tell you, one day you're going to be like this until you die. Warning. Have you prepared yourself for this? Time was asking you that question. It even gave you an example. Here's what I will be doing to you. Prepare yourself. And the only thing we had sanity in our minds to do is go to the doctor and get it treated. We forgot the message that time was giving us. You know, seriously, think about all these things I'm telling you, folks. Think. Because only when you think about and contemplate about what I'm telling you, will the defilements in your mind and the attachment that you have to existence itself and this physical body that you've come into this world with. Because when I talk about look at what time's done to you, of course, the most pain you suffer right now is because of the total incapacitation and the steps along the way. You can't do anything about it. But if it wasn't for the mental exasperation in your previous birth, you wouldn't have come here with what you've got today. What does a mother spend 9 months doing? Nine months in her womb. What did your mother do for 9 months, keeping you inside her womb? She was preparing a package. A package of joy, right? She was preparing for you a package of pleasure. Yeah? Okay, give me one pleasure you experienced with the gift that she gave you. The bun was in the oven, yes, for 9 months. Look at what 9 months did to you. What did she give you after the end of 9 months? What you've got here with you right now. Look at what it's done to you. She was preparing a package for you. She was saying, oh, so you've come. I've got a gift for you. I've got a welcome gift. And so she gave it to you. A welcome gift. Have you enjoyed your welcome gift? It's the same gift she got from her mother, so she didn't know any different. She passed on that gift, and now you got it. 9 months in the making. She manufactured, she produced a package of suffering. From the day you picked up this package, what was it? Tick, tick, tick. A ticking time bomb. That's what it was. What was in the package? A ticking time bomb. It's going to explode any moment. If I'm just making this up and you think, no, Swami, it's not like that. Well, tell me so then. You know, I'm talking about myself just as much as I'm talking about you. I'm in the same boat. We're all in the same boat. But we need to talk about this stuff so you can actually deal with the mental exasperation. If you don't, then when the total incapacitation comes your way, folks, Oh, good Lord. It will be hell on earth. This is the most sophisticated weapon. This. Don't worry about Al-Qaeda. Don't worry about ISIS. Hell, don't even worry about atom bombs. You've got a bigger problem. You've got a ticking bomb, ticking time bomb attached to you. And you can't even run away from it. It's tied up onto your body. You can't remove it. That was your welcome gift. And it's not just the explosion that I'm talking about. This time bomb, you had to look after. If you knew something was a time bomb, what's the first thing you'd do? Run away as far as you can. But this time bomb, not only is it going to explode on you one day and completely destroy you, but you've also got to look after it. You've got to feed it, you've got to wash it, you've got to clothe it, you've got to protect it from the elements, mosquitoes, insects and other things. Knowing fully well that the only thing it's going to bring you is suffering. Don't you think that's a curse? Knowing fully well that the only thing that this body can bring me is suffering, you can't do anything about it. Do you really have a bigger problem than that? Go on, give me a list. Someone else, no, I have a much bigger problem than that. Give me a list. Look at how much suffering it's brought you in the years you've been alive. You don't know how much you suffered while you were in the mother's womb. You just can't remember. If you read the scriptures though, the Buddha has explained the amount of suffering that an unborn child in the mother's womb has to undergo. Whenever she's running here and there, walking about, you're being squashed on the inside. While you're in the amniotic sac, now just imagine that. Everywhere it's just liquid. You're just bathed in this liquid. Amniotic fluid. Which smells lovely. Doesn't it? It's like a pigsty in there. This is your welcome gift I'm talking about. 9 months in the making. When the mother got a temperature, what does that do to the baby? I know lots of children. Mother fell ill. She had to give him some medicines or some injections or whatever, and that affected the child. See, now what can the mother do about it? Imagine that, right? The mother has conceived. She is with child. And now she suffers from a serious problem, an illness. The only remedy for that is to give this mother an injection or some kind of strong medicine, a drug, but there are definite side effects. Definite side effects. It will say that on the leaflet that you get with the medicine. If you're pregnant, do not take this. But that's the only drug that's available. Now the mother has a choice to make. Is it me or my child? Have you not had to make that choice? Be patient. Dua? Be patient. The mother knows fully well, when I take this is going to make my child incapacitated. Some kind of handicap. The child's going to be disabled the moment he or she comes into this world. But I have to be alive for the child to be alive. You're now stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's a total dilemma. What do? Or you do the only thing you're left to do. You take it and hope for the best. 9 months in the making. Your welcome gift. Sends a shiver down my spine, folks. To just think that there was a time in my life when I thought I wanted to be a father. And I had a big set of antlers on my head. I've shaved most of it off. There's still remnants, just a little bit. Look at what time has done to you. We all asked for this. Did we? No, this is what we got. You signed the contract, not knowing what part of the deal was. You didn't read the small print. That was the problem. Sight, sound, smells, taste and touch. This is what we asked for. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue and a body. This is what we got. What did you ask for? Sight, sound, smell, taste and touch. What did you get? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue and body. You didn't even get what you asked for. And despite that, there's a packing slip in the box. On it says, in big, bold print, no returns, no refunds. "9 months in the making. Your welcome gift." I want you to look into the future. Because that total incapacitation that's coming, folks, includes me. It's coming. Just ask yourself the last time you had a backache. Remember, last time you had a really bad backache. You couldn't even get out of bed without help from someone. You couldn't even go sit on the toilet. Do you remember? You know, the really pathetic thing about this package and the nature of our mind is all these negative experiences, we forget. I forget it. Because you live in a world of Satpurusha, right? We live amongst noble men. We live amongst noble ones who constantly remind us about the wonders of the world. Explore the world. Make the most of your senses. It's a gift. Make use of it. Experience the world. Taste it. Taste every taste that's out there. Look and enjoy every sight that's out there. Don't miss one. Not one. Don't miss one. Not a single one. Why did you decide to go on holiday? Why do some of you make it a habit to go abroad on a holiday once in a while? You know, some people, they boast about the number of countries they've been to. I've been to this country, that country, this country. So some people, it's their ambition to tick them off as they go along. These are all the countries that I plan to go to visit. Why? Because there's so many sights out there waiting just for you, your eyes. You have to go and devour these sights. So many sounds out there. Taste it, smell it, listen to it, enjoy. Look where it got you. Think. This is why I leave these gaps between the things I say. It's not for you to wait for me to say the next thing. It's for time for you to think. It's time for you to think about how you can conquer time. That's the only battle that's worth fighting. I want you all to come to have the day where you can stand in the face of time and say, time, do whatever you want to me. I'm fearless. I am victorious. I have won. There's nothing you can do now. That's going to take away my mental sanity. Think. We're all going to be bedridden one day. We're all going to be. I don't expect all of you to be here in the next 5 years. Sorry, I've got to say it. Hell, I don't expect you all to be here next year. Or even in 6 months' time. The Buddha said, next moment you take a breath. I'm talking about 6 months. I don't expect all. It's okay, right? If you don't come in the next 6 months' time, it's okay. I forgive you. I have nothing against you, okay? Just so you know. Otherwise, you might be on your bed, right? Thinking, Swami Maharaj is now not going to be happy that I'm not there. He might think bad of me. No. I'm telling you up front, it's okay. Because I will know then that you have been defeated. Time has won the fight against you. You have been conquered. I will know then that total incapacitation has come your way. This is no joke, folks. Seriously, this is no joke. And yet very little time do we spend thinking about this stuff, this kind of thing. You all planned for your retirement. This is why you invested in the pension. You all planned for the day when you're not going to have your kids around to look after you. This is why you started putting money every month, standing order, into your savings account. This is why you put some money into a fixed deposit. Live on the interest, right? You all planned the last part of your lives. But who here planned for the day when you're going to be in bed? You can't see anything because your eyesight's gone. Who here planned for that day? You can't hear anything. You're hard of hearing now. You can just about see, but you can barely hear a thing that people are saying. Folks, people at home, they're talking amongst themselves, and you think they're chatting about you. Now you've got full hearing, and even then when two people are talking, you're curious. If someone looks at you, even by accident, right? Two people are talking and they look at you, and they continue talking. How do you feel? Restless. You become anxious then. Hey, why did they just look at me? Are they talking about me? Mental exasperation. But right now, you're capacitated. You're not incapacitated. Your senses are working fine. Your legs are working fine. It can carry you wherever you want to go. But not for long. Not forever. Have you not heard in some people's homes, they put the television set so loud, you can hear it at the end of the street? And then they get complaints from their neighbors. Turn the volume down, for heaven's sake. There are other people who've got to get about their chores and do other things. Turn the volume down. Now this person, if they're going to have to stay there and they've got nowhere else to go, they're going to have to turn the volume down. Otherwise, first complaint, second complaint, and then it becomes a nuisance. And then you'll have to start paying fines and things like that. So of course you don't want that trouble, so you turn the volume down. The moment you turn your volume down, now you can't hear a thing. Have you seen some people when they have hearing aids? Sometimes their hearing aids don't work properly. Sometimes they get crackling noises in their hearing aids. Can you imagine the frustration? Can you imagine the frustration? Sometimes people say, sorry, what did you say, darling? I didn't hear you. And then they say it again. Sorry, I didn't catch that. Can you say that again? Third time, no, it's alright. Because they can't be bothered. But where does that leave this person? He still wants to know what they said. But the other person, no, it's not that important. Don't worry about it. It's coming. This is a trailer. Sorry, spoiler alert. I should have said at the start, right? Spoiler alert. Have I spoiled it for you? Talking to you about what's coming? I've spoiled it. Sorry, yeah. It's coming. I can't emphasize this enough, folks. It's coming. I can't guarantee that in 10 years' time the sun and moon will rise. But I will guarantee you will be totally incapacitated. You will be bedridden. You will not be able to go to the toilet. You'll be doing your thing on the bed. Then you'll have to wait for someone to come and clean you up. That's if they've got the time and patience. Now one might say, hey, that's what I saved all my money up for. Not all the money in this world can buy kindness. You can buy a servant, you can buy a maid, but you can't buy kindness. Just think about it, right? You've got a lot of money. How much of your time now do you set aside to looking after your money? All the measures that you have to put in place to protect your money, to look after it, making sure that you can trust the other person, that's keeping tabs on all of your accounts. Oh, you're always doubtful. What if? What if? Remember what if? I don't have that problem. Because I don't have a penny to my name. But I grew up thinking that if I had all the money in the world in my account, bliss. There's going to be a day when not all the money in the world can bring your sight back. Not all the money in the world can bring your hearing back. Right? Think about when you have a cold, a blocked nose. Can you taste any food then? No. Doesn't that annoy you and frustrate you? You can't taste your food. They say, oh my God, this is so good, you must taste it, Patricia. And then she's got a cold. Let me try that. It all just tastes very bitter. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you had a cold. Now think about the same situation. You ain't got a cold. It's just your sense of taste has stopped working. Then you're going to get frustrated, you're going to get annoyed because you haven't still given up your attachment to sights, sounds, smells, tastes and touch. So you're still yearning for it. You're still desiring it, but it's not coming. Your welcome gift is expiring. I'm talking to you about the pleasures of the karma world. Are you all making notes of this? Pleasures of the karma world. Pleasures? Pleasures? Pleasures of the karma world. This is the curse of the karma world. You know, it would have been okay had sight, sound, smell, taste and touch actually brought us pleasure in the first place. When they were functioning, had they brought us real pleasure, one could say, oh well, I had fun while it lasted. Now, so hey ho, I'll wait for the next one. But you know now that pleasure is a complete fabrication. It's not even real. So the pleasure is fake, but the suffering is so real. That's where the mental exasperation comes from. Total incapacitation and mental exasperation. That's where you're heading. Time's dragging you that way. One step at a time. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick. Stop it if you can. I challenge you. Okay, I'm not talking about many years, right? Stop 1 second and show me. Just stop 1 second and show me. No, still ticking. Okay, come on, stop. 1 second. At the count of 1. 3, 2, 1. No, it's still ticking. Come on. You're rich, you're wealthy. You're young. You're good looking. You're all well-off people, right? Affluent. Respected members of society. All I'm asking you to do is just stop 1 second for me. That's all. I don't want half an hour. Just give me 1 second. Let's try that again. 3, 2, 1. Still ticking. Do you not realize you're helpless? Completely, utterly helpless. There's not a thing you can do about it. Not a thing. You're at home, on your bed. You can't adjust yourself and you're sweating. You're feeling so grubby. You want to get yourself a wash, but you can't. You're starting to get bed sores, but you can't turn yourself because you had your hip replacement surgery done 2 months ago and it still hasn't healed properly. You had your shoulder operated on 6 weeks ago and you still can't turn. You need someone's help for that. But no one's at home or they're not interested because they're all busy watching EastEnders. Anna, you don't know EastEnders, do you? Whatever teledrama you like. What's the latest one these days? You should know. What's the best teledrama these days, folks? Do you know that? Which one? What's that? Why? Oh. Why? Don't do that. All those lovely things they have on TV. It's all there to watch. What's TV there to do? Watch. What about all the hours they spend on producing those things? And all the actors and the actresses. How much trouble they go through. All the stunts that they have to perform. Jumping up and down, walking on their heads. All the trouble that they go to please you. Come on, don't do that. Watch. I mean, that's why you asked for a pair of eyes, didn't you? So make use of them. Truly. Otherwise, what a waste it would be. People really think like that. When people begin to lose their eyesight, they go, "Oh, I couldn't watch all the things I wanted to watch with my eyes. I still haven't finished watching all the things I wanted to. Doctor, can I have it back, please?" That is what people cry for. "I still haven't finished watching all the things I wanted to watch. Please, can I have my eyesight back?" Do you think an Arahant would ever do that? Have you heard of Chakkupala? The great elder? Chakkupala Maharatan Vahanse. Him losing his eyesight and becoming an Arahant happened at the same time. Because of a bad deed that he'd done in a previous birth. Where he was a doctor. He treated people's eyes and tried to give them their eyesight back. There was once a lady who had come to him for treatment. So he had treated her with all good intentions. But after she was completely cured, the doctor feared that she might not be making her payments. So she would not pay me for my services. The doctor began to fear. Perhaps she was saying, "Doctor, can I please have a little bit more time? I need a little bit more time to put my money together." Perhaps. So I don't know the ins and outs of the story. But then this doctor thought to himself, "Right, so you want me to treat you? You're not going to pay me, huh? Let's see about that." So next day he said, "Right, to complete your treatment, there's just one more thing that we need to do. There's another eye drop that you need. Just to complete your treatment. So come back and then your treatment will be done." So she did. She complied. She came for her treatment. But little did she know that this eye drop was what was going to make her go blind. So that last treatment was to take away her eyesight. The doctor did his treatment and the lady went blind. As a result of the bad deed that he had done in that birth, the moment this Chakkupala, this monk became an Arahant, he lost his eyesight. How glad do you think he must have been that it happened after he became an Arahant? Had that happened before he became one, now there's the mental exasperation and the total incapacitation all at once. I want it, but I can't have it. How does that feel? Well, you know. Anyone here who's not experienced that? I want it, but I can't have it. No, we've all had that experience. I want her, but I can't have her. That is very familiar, right? I want him, but I can't have him. Now imagine that when it comes to sight. If you lose her, you can say, she's not the only fish in the sea. There's plenty more where she came from. But the day you lose your eyesight, there might be more fish in the sea, but now you can't catch any of them. I'm talking about the definite and inevitable future for all of you. All of you. You can't do anything about the incapacitation, but you can do something about the exasperation. This is why we constantly talk about the uselessness and the futility of sight, sound, smell, taste and touch. These things that you expect to receive from the outside world, thinking that pleasure lay in the outside world. Pleasure lies in the outside world. This is why we have to constantly contemplate on the essencelessness, on the futility, on the uselessness, asare. of Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankhara Vijnana, which arise in our mind, because ultimately it's not your eyes that want to see, is it? It's not your eyes that wants to see. Anyone been to the eye bank? Have you seen the eyes in the eye bank? They keep jumping. Left, right, center. They keep jumping here and about. Why? They want to see. In those little capsules, they have these eyeballs and they keep jumping like this. Eyeballs. No, they don't do that. Why don't they do that? Because they're not attached. I don't mean the tanha attachment. They're physically not attached to a body which has a mind which is attached to sights. That's why that eyeball isn't jumping. So what do you have to do to activate this eye? To get it to jump? Attach it. Attach it to a body which encompasses, which houses a mind which is attached. Now there's no rest. The eye will wish, oh, if only I'd be able to have stayed back in the eye bank. Reflect on those things, folks. Because the sad story is, right, this day is going to come sooner for some of you than it will for others. And those of you who are closer to this date must be more earnest than others. Because old age is no excuse in the face of time. It doesn't treat you one way, it doesn't treat you the other way. If you want to learn the value of upeksha, equanimity, learn it from time. Time is exemplary in its demonstration of upeksha. Why? Time and tide don't wait for anyone. You could be rich, you could be poor, you could be pretty, you could be the ugliest person alive. You could be fat, you could be thin, you could be tall, you could be short. What does time say? Upeksha. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what you want to do with your life. I'll take you with me. Now that you've received your welcome gift, there's nothing you can do about it. But there are two things that we can do about the future. The past is gone. You can't change the past, but you can do something about the future. Two things. One, prepare a state of mind whereby when total incapacitation comes, you're not left with the mental exasperation. For that, you need to practice the path of Dhamma. Nothing else will give you that. Money is not an insurance against that. Because you could be wealthy, you could be knowledgeable, you could be powerful. The amount by which you have given up attachment, that is going to be the only deciding factor if you can remain in your mental sanity when that day comes. And secondly, reflecting on how much you've had to suffer as a result of you receiving this gift, this welcome gift, vow to yourself, this is the last time. Never, ever, ever do I want this again. But wishing isn't going to do anything. Hoping for it isn't going to do anything. You've got to act. Because for as long as you are attached, hetum paticca sambhutang, hetu bhanga nirujjati. As long as you're attached to sight, sound, smells, taste and touch, because that's what you're going to be asking. I need sights, I need sounds, I need smell, I need taste, I need touch. then karma will give you eyes, ears, body, tongue, body. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue and a body. Not what you asked for, but that's all they've got in store. So you go into the hardware. Can I have 3 inches long nails? They go, no, we haven't run out of stock. But we can give you this. 2.5. Oh well, that'll have to do. Because you can't wait. You can't wait until they restock themselves. So likewise, when you have this attachment to sight, sound, smell, taste and touch, you can't wait. Not one moment. But they don't have sight, sound, smell, taste and touch in the karma factory. They've got eyes, ears, nose, tongue and a body. So that's what they'll give you. And you got to take it. Well, you have already. Then you take it. Now, ticking time bomb. So contemplate on that. And when you start your contemplation, please fight every urge there is to fall asleep. This is also part of the package. Your mind wants to stay alert, your mind wants to stay awake, but your body doesn't let you. That's also part of the karma. It's also part of the package. See, to have a state of mind where you'll be unaffected by the state of your body, you have to stay awake, but your body doesn't let you do that. It's a catch-22. You have to stay awake, you have to stay alert so you don't get your body back, but your body puts you into sleep. So now you can't do what you need to do to not get it back. Don't you realize this is the worst curse ever? But every man and his dog out there says, no, you've been blessed, my darling, you've been blessed. Look at you, you're perfect in every single way. Let's go explore the world. Oh, those beautiful sights out there. Those lovely waterfalls. Beautiful gardens. Flowers, birds and bees and trees. Let's go enjoy, have fun. Don't miss a single music concert. That's why you got ears, to listen to them. If you haven't listened to all the songs that was played or sung by your favorite musician, don't die before you do so. Will you promise me you won't? Others, they're going to go, what did I give you ears for? You'll have to answer them. I gave you ears to listen to every song that was sung and produced by your favorite musician. I gave you the musician, I gave you the ear, I gave you sound. Why didn't you make use of it? Now you're going to have to answer back to them. So don't be in that difficult situation where you're going to be struggling to find answers to that tough question. So make sure that while your ears are functioning, you listen to all the sounds out there before you die. Every taste that's out there, make sure you taste them all. Otherwise you're going to feel so sorry. You know I'm being sarcastic. Hopefully. Right? So, contemplate. I want you to look into the future. This is what we're going to be doing now. Look into the future. This is a chronoscope. Do you know what a chronoscope is? What is it to put something in chronological order? In the order of the time in which it happened. Such events happen. So a chronoscope, you look in through time. So you're going to be using a chronoscope, which is your imagination, along with the things that I've just explained to you. Remind yourselves about the situation your parents are in, perhaps. Remind yourself about the state you saw your grandparents last when they were alive. or while they were on their bed, deathbed. If you've got experience as a doctor or a nurse, if you've been in hospitals, right? Old people come and go. Some of them, they can't do anything about it. Not because they don't have money, but not all the money in the world can give them back, bring them back what they've lost, bring back what they've lost. Not all the money in the world. Because remember, it's not money that brought you eyesight. It was your karma that brought you eyesight. So when karma decides, that's it, time's up, not all the money in the world can bring it back. Because when karma gives it to you, now you've borrowed it. If you borrow something from someone, who do you have to return it to? The same person you borrowed it from. So when karma gives you something, karma is well within its rights to take it back when he decides, or when it decides, that's it, I need it back. You borrowed a car from your friend says, I want it back. No, you borrowed, you lent it to me, I can keep it for as long as I want. No, that's not how it works. I lent it to you so I can get it back, I can have it back whenever I say so. So karma will be saying that to you. And the sad thing is, we don't know how much karmic energy we've got left. You're spending away not knowing what your budget is. Yeah? We're all spending not knowing what our budget is. So risky, don't you think so? You're spending freely, but you don't know how much you can afford. This is why I say, while you spend it wisely. Contemplate on the misery of this welcome gift that you all brought when you came here, when you came into this world. It's a curse. May this be the last time that you have to suffer with this curse. Let's not ask for another one of these. So, look into the future. You're all clever enough, intelligent enough, and you've all got plenty of experiences. Attanang upamankatva. Look at others. Now apply that to yourself. Because if you haven't been in that situation yet, of course there will be plenty of others who have. Look at them, and then look at yourself. And you might think, well, I've got money, I'm young. No, so did they. So did they. But that was no excuse. So, let's look into the future. Pick up your chronoscope and then contemplate on what's coming your way. Contemplate on this ticking time bomb for a little while, and then we'll continue our talk after that. So we're going to do that afterwards. So right now we're going to be contemplating on the adina, the consequences. Okay? Because this must become real to you. You must really feel this. Now I can talk all you like, but this is going to become real to you when you reflect on your own examples, your own experiences. Until then, until such time, you're just listening to me. So I've given you little threads. Pick whichever thread worked for you, and using that, now apply your own life experiences and then follow them through. Plant your own tree. I could give you all seeds, but when I come 5 years from now and look at all your trees, they'll all be different. Why? Because the way you will have looked after them will be different. You'll have used different fertilizer. You'll have watered it at different times, right? So, because what you've learned in your life, your examples, your experiences will be different. But that's the important bit. So, I've given you threads. Pick up whichever thread works for you, and contemplate on that. Look into the future. Then this adina will become real to you, and then we will spend time later on what we can do about it. Are you all clear on what we need to do now? Yes? So what do we have to do? You've got about half an hour to get some sleep. Yeah? We'll see. Remember, it's not me you're fighting with here. The silent killer. Because if you fall asleep, your silent killer's gonna go. I'm gonna feel so sorry for you, but there's nothing I can do about it. Okay. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. And all beings in all worlds be healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. Healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. Healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. May I and all beings in all worlds be healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. Healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. Healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. Okay, you can open your eyes now. Did you enjoy your dream? Was it a lovely dream? Pleasant one? No, I think most of you were really, really good. So well done. And the others, just keep trying. This is probably the one thing we've done the least many times in samsara. So our minds are not used to fixating on one aspect and contemplating on the same thing. The mind always wants to jump. Like a monkey on a tree. The monkey won't stay on one tree for very long. Wants to keep jumping from this tree to that, from that to the other, and so on. Because the problem with thoughts is that they arise and pass away. And whatever object the mind attaches to, when you feed the same thing over and over and over again, now the mind becomes frustrated. It wants something new, something different. It wants a change. Do you not paint a different color at home? Paint, color wash. Different colors. Why? Change. Do you not all change the arrangement of furniture at home from time to time? Why is that? Does your chair become more suitable when it's somewhere else? Or your bed becomes more sleepable when you move its location? When you change its location? No, so it's not the body that's asking for any of this, it's the mind that gets fed up. Right? Mind gets fed up very easily. But this getting fed up is because your mind is constantly wanting Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vinyana. It wants new ones, wants new, exciting, fresh. Because through experience it realizes that the pleasure that I was seeking in this, I'm not getting anymore. Because the pain starts to build up. the vexation starts to build up. Because what happens with every arising? What happens? Passes away. And then again arises and passes away. There was a moment of pleasure, but the pain overweighs the pleasure. You put them on a balance, the pain always overweighs the pleasure. So when you extrapolate that over time, there's more pain than pleasure on one object, in respect to one object, one thought object, one aramunu. So over time the pain grows. It grows and grows and grows and grows until it's a huge mountain. Pelim skanda. Then it waits for that moment of release. Moment of relief. Relief, release, whichever. So that's when you experience pleasure, the moment you change your attention to something else. This is why, people say they do things like people have hobbies, right? Like to listen to music, read books. But can you do the same thing for a long time? No. Even if it's your most favorite hobby, you want to change it. Today you might be having your most favorite dish, but for how long is it going to be your favorite dish? Has to change. Why does cake come in so many different flavors? Has to change. Do you know how many types of tea there are? There are many hundreds of different types of tea. I remember when I was once back in UK, we went for one of these things called a afternoon tea. Is that what it's called? Is that what they call it? High tea. Okay. High tea? Okay. High tea. So they call it afternoon tea there. Afternoon tea? I think it's called an afternoon tea. Is that what it's called, afternoon tea? Not been to one. Yes. I think, if I remember right, it's called an afternoon tea. So they have these small cakes on so they bring a tray about this big. So they lay it out, and then you have lots of little small pieces of cake, but lots of different varieties. And the first time I went to one of these things, they brought me a menu card. So what's this for? It's the teas that we have, sir. So the waiter handed this menu to me, and on there was, if I remember right, about 150 different types of tea. There's chamomile and Earl's Grey, English breakfast, Sri Lankan, right? All these different types of tea. Chai is tea, but the flavored masala chai and things like that. So a mind-boggling number of varieties we have of everything. So we've got to ask the question, why? Why is the mind always looking for variety? Because it gets fed up. This is why usually when at the end of meditation programs, when you come along for 5-day programs, either myself or one of our other monks will always conclude the program with some practical advice. And for those of you who've come along, hopefully you remember, one of the pieces of advice we give you is, now that you've spent a week with either Guru Hamduru or one of our other senior monks, or listening to the same sermon being, in other words, the same philosophy, right, being described over and over and over again, the mind has a habit of getting fed up. Now the mind wants something else. Then the mind goes astray, looking for something different, a bit of a change. Goes astray and then gets lost. So this can happen. So the reason for this, as you know, is because we always look for pleasure from the outside world. In real terms, there's only one place where you can actually expect pleasure. So there's no point looking for pleasure in lots of different things. There's only one place where you can expect pleasure. That is relief or release from vexation. So when pleasure can be experienced doing only one thing, people go looking for pleasure in lots of different places. But pleasure can only be experienced through one process, and that process is relief from vexation. If you remember last week I talked to you about these two processes, and I explained to you how they are very distinct processes. You have process one, because the mind can only do two things. One is attached, the other is abhisankara. Right? If you list all the verbs that a mind is capable of doing, only two things. One is attached, tanha, the other is abhisankara, formations. So for something to happen, there has to be a process. There's one process for attachment, and there's a second process for abhisankara. For a process to run, you need an input, and there has to be an output. When you take the first process of attachment, the only thing you can feed into it is rupa vedana sanya sankara vijnana, because the mind cannot accept anything else. It's like the mind has a welcome mat on its front door, and it says welcome. Beneath it has rupa vedana sanya sankara vijnana. Anyone else? No. I can't let you through because I don't know you. Simple as that. So the mind is able to attach to the rupa vedana sanya sankara vijnana that comes in, right? In what sense, sir? Yes. That's right. So because the mind is under false impression, it has this wrong view, which is avidya. The mind is readily waiting to attach. These are the only two things that the mind is capable of doing, either attaching or abhisankara. Well, the third is just doing nothing. I mean, doing nothing is not, in real sense, is not a verb, because you're just doing nothing. And you ask them, what are you doing? Nothing. They're not really doing nothing. You're always doing something, right? So the only two things that the mind is capable of is attachment and abhisankara. The attachment process, of course, because of wrong view, waits for rupa vedana sanya sankara vijnana to come through. Because can the mind attach to anything else? No, because the mind doesn't know anybody else or anything else. So the mind eagerly awaits. They'll come any moment now. Just need to wait. Come on. Come on. Ice. Come on. Bring it. Come on. Ice. No, not the ice you put in a whiskey glass. Ice, this ice I'm talking about. Ice. These 5 agents, as Guru Hamdru puts it, right? Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and the physical body. Come on, bring me. I need my stuff. Feed me. This is baby Natasha crying. Feed me, mommy, feed me. So rupa vedana sanya sankara vijnana comes, and then the mind is like a vacuum. Like you hold your vacuum cleaner, and it pulls in all the rupa vedana sanya sankara vijnana. Why does it pull it in? Because of the wrong view, that this brings me pleasure. So the moment it comes in, the attachment process runs, and then there's the output. What is the output? Feeling or vexation. There is no other output. This is the only output of this process. The only input is rupa vedana sanya sankara vijnana, and the only output is vexation. There is nothing else that can be fed into this process, and nothing else can come out of this process. It's a fixed, deterministic process. That's process 1. Process 2, abhisankara. That is the verb, that is the thing that happens inside this process. Much like the first process, this can also only take one thing, and it can also only spit out one thing. The only thing that it can take in is vexation, and the only thing that it can spit out is ashvada or pleasure. So it can't take in rupa vedana sanya sankara vijnana. It has to have vexation. That is the only thing that can be fed into this process. It's like, if you were to draw out this process, right? The second process, which is abhisankara, when you look at the input, if you were to draw a model of this, it might have a shape like this. Just imagine that. So there's a shape. It's waiting for an input. So the only thing that can fit into this is something that has a complementary shape, which is a triangle. Only that can fit into this, right? Very basic idea, you get that. Only that can fit into this. So if this is the only shape of input that it can take, the only thing that has this shape is vexation. Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana, they are circles or squares or something else. They don't fit into this process. They just simply don't fit. They're not compatible. But we are all interested in the output of the second process. That is pleasure. But if you want pleasure, you have to first run the first process, get the outputs of that, and then feed into the second process. Because you can't feed any amount of Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana into the second process because it just doesn't accept it. You have to feed it vexation. Not being able to see that this is the mechanism that runs through between these two processes is ignorance. That is ignorance. Not realizing what is actually going on. Because when you don't realize this, what an ignorant person sees is the input to the first process and the output of the second process. Yeah, they miss out the middle. What's everything that's in the middle? Blank. There's the input to the first process, which is Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana, and the output of the second process, pleasure or ashvada. This gives me that. No. This gives you something else. That put into this gives you that. So you have to suffer before you can enjoy. There's no pain or there's no gain without the pain. So true, right? How many times must you have heard that expression? No pain, no gain. No pain, no gain. Well, we've said that so many times, never realizing the profoundness of that statement. The Buddha said that. No pain, no gain. He said it so many years ago. But now people just use it as in terms of, right, if you wanna get good grades, you have to work hard. If you want to earn a lot of money, you have to work hard. True. But then people enjoy the working hard. Not because they enjoy working hard, because they look at the end goal and say, I have to work hard, I have to study hard, I have to do all these things, right? It's worthwhile, people think. It's not worthwhile. It's not worthwhile because everything is a means to an end. All that arises must pass away. Therefore, at the end of it, when you do your accounts at the end of the year, nothing's left behind. There's no balance. Zero balance. You've been running this business for so long, and there's zero balance. Right. So for the first half of the session, you contemplated on... did you all use your chronoscope? Did you look into the future? What did you see? Greener pastures? Was the grass green? A lot greener than it is right now? What did you see? Dry, arid land? Barren? Wasted land? Did you see road dust? Road dust. Did you see the garbage? Did you see what society spit out? Did it have a name? He or she have a name? This is the inevitable future for all. Either you have to die, or you have to endure this. If you don't like this, if you don't like the future, if you think the future is grim, what can you do now? Die. There's an easy escape, of course. Die. Please don't do it. Otherwise that would be a parajika for me. If I praise death and then you go and commit it on my account, that would be a parajika for me. So please don't do this. Yeah, as if. If you don't like the grim, dark, gloomy future, then the only thing you can do is succumb to death. But we don't like that either. So therefore, you don't like either option. You don't like old age, you don't like death. But you have to choose one or the other. Unless you go for the third option, redeeming yourself from mental exasperation. And it's only the Dhamma that can do that. Only the Dhamma. So we contemplated on the pain that comes with the welcome gift that you all got for yourself, right? So if you were able to look at the future version of you. You know how in production they have version 1, version 2, version 3 and so on, yeah, right? So even Microsoft Windows comes like that, right? 1, 2, 3 and so on. So all manufacturing processes, if you produce a product, they have a versioning system. So you are also a version. Whatever age you are, that's you, version 60, version 48, version 35. Whatever age you are, that's your version number. So if you looked into the future, you will have seen version n-1, because version n is your last version. There's not going to be another version of you. That's it. Time's up. The production line stops there. That is the inevitable future. So let's talk about what we can do about it then. You can't stop old age. Like, just, remember the Buddha talked about the cause of suffering, and he said it was what? Arising and? Did he? Don't let me put words in your mouth. What did he say the cause of suffering was? Arising and? Attachment. Wake up. Don't let me put words in your mouth. He didn't say arising and passing away was the cause of suffering. He said attachment was the cause of suffering. Why did he not say arising and passing away was the cause of suffering? Because you can't do anything about it. What's the point? If you could do something about it, then let's talk about it. Like how you talk about the economy, right? And taxes, right? Because you can do something about it, right? That's why you always talk about it. And politics, and the state of affairs in the United States, and how that's affecting your gas prices at home, right? So this is why you talk about these things, right? Because you can do something about it. So why do you talk about this then? Had the Buddha mentioned that arising and passing away is the cause of suffering, that would be frivolous speech. A novel concept to you, frivolous speech, because you don't do it, so you're okay. Samprapralapa. But the Buddha never said arising and passing away is the cause of suffering, because there's nothing you can do about it. Everything that arises passes away. We are not about trying to stop the passing away. We are about trying to stop the arising. Because the reason that arising happens is because of attachment. Once something has arisen, you can't help it. Like the body that you all possess right now. It's now come into being. Now there's nothing you can do about it except for suffering. Our struggle is to make sure we don't get another one of these. Because for as long as there are causes, for as long as we keep asking for sight, sound, smell, taste and touch, and when you think from the perspective of the mind, Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana, there has to be a way for the mind to receive them. Remember, Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana does not exist in the outside world. Does it? No, it only exists in the mind. What exists in the outside world? Sight, sound, smell, taste and touch. You want one, the mind wants something, but what exists in the outside is something else. So you need a translator. And this is the system that you have. Your eyes and your brain, they work together with the rest of your body to translate what's in the outside world to what the mind wants and yearns for on the inside. So sights get translated to Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana. Sounds get translated to Rupa Vedana Sanya or converted. Smells get converted to Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana. Touch gets converted to Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana. Practically anything that comes your way, that is, that your senses can perceive, gets converted to Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana. You don't know about ultrasound. You don't know ultraviolet rays. You don't know infrared. Not until scientists produced or manufactured devices which could pick up ultraviolet, ultrasound, and infrared, and then display it in a way that your eyes could pick it. So actually, an instrument which can detect ultraviolet rays is what your eye does. Because you can't see ultraviolet. Therefore, you have an instrument that picks up ultraviolet, and then it shows it on a display, like a sine wave or something like that. That's what your eye does for you. Because you can't see sights, not these physical things, you can't see any of this. So your eye and your brain work together in tandem to translate and convert these outside objects to the fine Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana that your mind can read. But now, having contemplated on what price you have to pay, the price that you've had to pay to get what you asked for, you have to come to a conclusion. Is it worthwhile or is it worthless? When you go to the shop to buy something, do you not always ask yourself, is it worth the price that I'm having to pay? Now think about the last time you bought something. Not big things, even if you go shopping for groceries. Why do you pick one grocery against the other? One might say fresh produce, but that's not the only reason. Others go to one grocery and not go to the other because it's cheaper. In other words, what you're saying is, the other shop, it's not worth paying so much for the same product. Now think about the price you've had to pay to perceive Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana. If it had been pleasurable, then you could have said, okay, I can live with that. But the truth of the matter is, there's no pleasure to be found in them. But that didn't mean you didn't have to pay the price. We've paid the price. Can you name one part of your body that brings you pleasure? That process we talked about, in which the output is pleasure, what could you put into what could you put in as an input? Eye? Which part of the body could we put into the input? Nose? The only thing that could be put into the input is vexation. Okay, put your hand up if your hand has ever brought you pleasure. Your hand. If it has ever brought you any pleasure, put your hand up. Don't you think then, only a fool would think that if her hand can't bring her pleasure, how can it bring me? Why did you bring her home? Her body couldn't give her pleasure, and you thought it could give you? Not one part of his body could give him pleasure. It couldn't give its owner any pleasure. And yet you thought it could give me. I've got a car. I can't drive it. It doesn't work. You want to borrow it from me. I'm its owner. I know the ins and outs of it. I know it in every detail. It doesn't give me any pleasure. I've come to that conclusion. You come and tell me, can I have it, please? What fools. We've all done this. One part of two people coming together is sensual attraction, right? Coming together, physical attraction, things like that. Because the view that you take it in is, this person has something that is going to bring me pleasure. But we didn't stop to think, wait, hang on, it doesn't even bring that person pleasure. How is it going to give me any pleasure? The reason for this is karma. Because when you create this sensual world in your mind, now the truth has been hidden from you. Let me give you an example. If you've been to a restaurant, right? Not if you, of course, you've all been to restaurants. Who am I talking to? When you go to a restaurant, and if on your plate you find a strand of hair, if you've ever been in that situation, how did you feel about that? Most people, if they have no understanding of the Dhamma, will find that repulsive. Yes or no? Yes. You find it repulsive to put that into your mouth. To put that food into your mouth. The strand of hair was on the edge of the plate. You're eating from the other side of the plate. But no, you would return it. I don't want this. What is it you've served me? I find this repulsive. This is disgusting. Ew. It was only a strand of hair. You don't like to put it in your mouth. Move up 6 inches. What do you have? A head full of it. You're fine to walk around with it. But a strand of hair on a plate, you find it disgusting. Let's take it one step further. Put food in your mouth, chew it, spit it out. How many of you can put it back in your mouth? Was it not in your mouth in the first place? If you put that mouthful that you've just spat out back into your mouth, what's in that mouthful? There's the food that was on the plate before and saliva, which is in your mouth in the first place. Can you eat food without swallowing saliva? I'm talking about your own saliva. Can you? No. But if you spit a mouthful of food onto a plate and then I challenge you, put it back in your mouth, you find that revolting, disgusting. Don't you think that's mad? Because if you made a list of the actual components, the constitution of what is on the plate right now, it's the food that was there before, plus the saliva that was in your mouth. Okay, if you put in a fresh mouthful of food, now it's in your mouth. What's the difference between that and what's on your plate? Same. Now what if it's someone else's saliva? Shall we stop it there? You're going to puke in a moment. You know what the sad thing is? You look at a mouthful, or you look at someone's saliva out there, right? If you're walking on the street, people say, don't spit on the ground, it's a bad thing to do. True, I agree with all that. But if someone sees someone else's saliva, they find it so revolting, disgusting. But yet, it doesn't stop them from sticking their tongue in someone else's mouth, does it? Of course. How can you tell me that karma is real? How is it that you see someone spit and you find that disgusting, and yet you can stick your tongue in someone else's mouth and find that pleasurable? I'm not going to talk about the other places where people stick their tongues. I'll leave that to you to figure out. Do you see how much a lie this karma is? It's a made-up gimmick. It's a fallacy. It's all made-up stuff. It's the same thing. Saliva in the mouth versus saliva on a plate. Saliva. And think about the other stuff that I told you, because I can't talk about that in a sermon. Some of the other places where people stick their tongues. And yet, in a different context, people would say, disgusting. We should tell them, well, that's not what you said last night. Because even the most disgusting, most revolting thing can become pleasurable. In the mind of someone who's blinded with kama, sensuality. Well, it has to be, because sensuality is a falsehood. This kama is a lie, it's a made-up thing. You can create your whatever, it's like dreaming. You can create whatever dream you want and live in that dream world. And then even the most disgusting, most revolting thing becomes pleasurable. What madness. A strand of hair on a plate. People will reject it. The entire dish. No, I don't want that. The chef could have easily seen a strand of hair on the plate before he sent it out and removed it. And you're okay with that. Right? People are okay with that because you didn't see it. What I don't know doesn't hurt me. We're not mocking the world. I want you all to think about how your minds operate. Do you feel the same way? Do you see and experience the world in the same way? If there's a strand of hair on your plate, are you the kind of person that would say, "Oh, take that away. I find that disgusting." 6 inches up, you've got a head full of it. If you see saliva somewhere, are you the kind of person that finds it disgusting and repulsive? You've got a mouthful of it. You can't send it down you without mixing your food with saliva. So what are you complaining about then? What if you see snot on someone's nose? Disgusting. No, you've got a nose full of it. I'm not saying any of these things are disgusting, because that's not real either. Why, snot is disgusting? How can it be disgusting? Sweat or blood or whatever, feces, none of these things are disgusting. They just serve its purpose. You find something disgusting when you're attached to something else. You can only dislike something when you like the opposite. For anyone that experiences attachment, that has attachment, there's always going to be something in this world that you don't like. You can only have enemies if you have friends. If you don't have any friends, what do you also not have? Enemies. Here's an example of someone who had no friends and no enemies. Nothing but unconditional compassion. Unconditional, infinite compassion. Because you become a friend with someone when you expect something from them and you trust them to deliver. That's when someone becomes a friend. I like you. Why? What are you really saying? You're not saying I like you. You're saying I like what I get from you. I love you. No. I love what I can get from you. Yes or no? Because what happens when they can't give you what you love? What happens when you can't get what you like from them? You no longer like them and you no longer love them. It could be a dead person, it could be an alive person. That doesn't matter. Because you might think, hang on, so if the person's dead, then now they can't give me. No, you'll still love your dead mother. Yes. Because the memory of her, the memory of your dead father, the memory of your dead loved one brings back fond memories of the time you spent with them. Therefore, you found pleasure in those moments. Then because you still have ignorance and attachment, those memories still bring you pleasure. What, an arahant completely forgets his past? No. He's got memories, plenty of it. I mean, the Buddha could look back at an infinite number of years into his past. Not just in that birth, but in so many births before that. He knew that Yashodhara was his wife. Ever since he took Niyatavivarana from the Lord Deepankara. From that day forward, whatever birth that the Buddha took or the Bodhisattva took, Yashodhara was next to him as his partner. So there was a love that was formed between them over so many, not lifetimes, not even years, there was many eons. But after he became the Buddha, after Yashodhara became an arahant, there's no longer love. There's no longer affection. When Yashodhara came to the Buddha and said, "O great Buddha, it is now time for me to pass away. It is now time for me to enter Paranibbana. I seek your permission for that." What do you think the Buddha did? Pulled out his handkerchief and no, not one tiny bit. That's freedom. The reason that you have had to live with this welcome gift of yours is because we ask for sight, sound, smell, taste and touch. And if you think about the mind, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. But you'll know now that none of these things that you're yearning for actually bring you any pleasure. Because remember, process number 2 cannot take an input that is anything other than vexation. Vexation is the only thing that can go into that process. And the only thing that comes out of that process is pleasure. But Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana don't go into that process. Sight, sound, smell, taste and touch don't go into that process. It's incompatible. You just can't put it in. You can have bagfuls of it, lorryfuls of it, shed loads of it, but you just can't put it in because it doesn't take it. So there has to be vexation. So vexation and relief from vexation is the only source of pleasure. Not your eyes, not your ears, not your tongue, not your body. So there's not a single part of your bodies that you can say brought me any pleasure. But that doesn't mean it was kind on you and therefore didn't bring you any pain. Brought you ample pain, ample suffering. So the cause of this is our wrong view. This wrong view, wrong belief, distorted view that what we've been seeking through our bodies is pleasurable. So if we break that view, along with that breaks the attachment. Remember, I can't preach to you to help you rid attachment. I can only help you rid ignorance. The amount by which your ignorance rescinds, that's the amount by which attachment is extinguished. Total eradication of ignorance equals total eradication of attachment. But I can't help you rid attachment. I can only help you deal with ignorance. Why? Because Hetupala Dhamma, cause and effect. The cause of attachment is ignorance. So we are in the business of treating ignorance. That is what we are. We treat ignorance. That is our business. That is the purpose of our enterprise. Treating ignorance. So if you come here, we will treat ignorance. What happens the day you don't have any more ignorance? You have nothing to gain out of coming here. You can't even earn any merit. Can you? You have zero ignorance. Can you come here and earn any merit? Can you? What about giving a dana? You can, but you can't earn any merit. Why? Because you're not vexing. For something to be meritorious, to earn merit, whatever abhisankara you are doing has to relieve you from vexation. Punya papa pahinasa, who's that? An arahant. An arahant is someone who does not have any ignorance. So the day you are free of ignorance is the day you have become an arahant, is the day you are also punya papa pahinasa. You can't come here and gain anything out of it. So we treat ignorance. Only come here if you have ignorance. So by coming here, you're telling us what? You ignorant. You can fill in the other word. That's what we are all here to treat, including myself. I've been admitted. You come to the OPD, don't you? Because my case is so bad, they had to admit me. Whereas in your case, you're much better. See? I'm taking your side here. Aren't I good? With me, it had run too deep. They couldn't treat me in the OPD. So Guru Handru said, no. We have to admit you. So I said, what's the catch? He said, you're going to have to give up on women. Anything else we can give? That we can't give. I said, how long is it going to take to treat me? I said, I don't know. But we'll try to get it done as soon as possible. Okay, I signed up for it. That's the only thing we can't get. Right? Anything else within reason is possible. Not that I want it, but anything else within reason is possible. But that's not what we're here for. But I've come here for full-time treatment, and you're here in the outpatients department. So we should remove where it says Sivamaga Dharmayatane, the board outside, and call it the OPD. This is the clinic. I give you the prescription, take it away, and try and treat yourself, and come back next week and tell me, oh, Swaminas, I forgot to take my medicine. Oh, now what do I do? Well, let's see what we can do about that. And I write the same prescription again. So you keep doing that for about 5, 10, 15 years. And then you come back when it's really become severe. Now I have to give you a stronger medicine. But then the side effects of it are too strong. Then you can't take it. Then we have to say, some things you just have to learn to live with. Some illnesses can't be treated. Are you waiting for that day? You just have to wait. Be patient. It will come. This is why I constantly remind you folks, I can only give you 20%. 80% of you practicing the path has to happen while you're not here. If you're not doing the 80, this 20 is not going to get you very far. That is the sad truth. If I could practice the path on your behalf, I would do it. But I can't. I can only show you the path. The Buddha could only show me the path. He can't walk it for me. I asked you all at least to spend 15 minutes every day practicing the meditation that we talked about last time. I don't know how many of you have done it so far. I hope you have. 15 minutes is nothing in the grand scheme of things. It's nothing. At our monastery, our monks do it for about between 8 and 12 hours a day. I'm talking about 15 minutes. But some of you won't have the time for that either. I'll buy excuses. But samsara doesn't. Let's at least get to a state of mind where we no longer have to suffer because of this package. Let's at least get there. If you become an anagami, you will no longer have to suffer because of this physical body. Because then your next stop will be in the Brahma worlds. Because in the Kama world, right? In the Kama world, reason that people are, or beings are born in the Kama world is because they believe that pleasure exists in the outside world objects. Right from beasts to gods. They believe that pleasure exists in the outside world objects. Think about your bodies for a moment. I gave you the example of, people get married and, have partners because they think pleasure exists in the other person's body. Why did, the troubles we had lately? Extremists, right? Why did we have trouble from them? Think for a moment. They valued your body just as much as you do. Because to you, your salvation comes in protecting this. If you ask ISIS, their salvation comes in breaking this. Well, they need your body so that they can break it. The more heads that get chopped off, the bigger the reward. So if there isn't a head to chop off, now there's a problem. So if someone is in the belief that chopping off heads is what's going to get me pleasure and a beautiful life in the next after this, well then of course they're going to come running after you. Why? Because you've got bodies. You've got heads so that can be chopped off. Yes or no? This is the mentality of anyone that's in the Kama world. Pleasure is in the outside world. Objects. When we talk about outside world, Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vinyaya, that's also outside world. But I'm not talking about that level. I'm talking about much more on the outside, much more abstract. I'm talking about the physical bodies, physical objects, right? People believe that there's pleasure to be found in the betel leaf. Why do people chew on betel leaves? Why do people take alcohol? Why do people like chocolates? Pizza, whatever. Because they believe that pleasure is in the outside world objects, in the object itself. So for pleasure to be perceived from the outside world object, now you need a body that can perceive it. Particularly when it comes to smells, taste and touch. Because smells, taste and touch can only be perceived when there is contact between two substances. How do you smell something? The aromas that's in the air must come and be in contact with the receptors that's in your nose. And taste, same. The taste that are in food or these molecules, they have to come into contact with your tongue, the receptors on your tongue. And physical sensation, well, it's obvious. Whereas light and sound, they're both energies. So you don't need physical contact. This is energies we're talking about, light and sound. Therefore, when you go into the Brahma worlds, now you don't need a physical body. Because they also seek pleasure from the outside world, but in sights and sounds, not in smells, taste and touch. For someone in the Kama world, they expect pleasure to come from smell, taste and touch. Therefore, you need a physical body. Why? Contact. Contact has to happen. How can you taste this without putting this in your mouth? But can you not see it without putting it in your eye? You don't need this to come in contact with your body to see it. Can you not hear this? It doesn't need to come into contact with you, but to smell this has to come into contact. To taste it has to come to contact. To feel it has to come in contact with your body. Therefore you need a body. See, you ask for one thing, they'll give it. Give it they will, but suffer you must. As a result. So in the karma worlds, for as long as you seek pleasure from outside world objects, you will be born into the karma world. Whether that's in the heavens, the human world, or the four great hells, I don't know. That is determined by the karma that you have done. In the four great hells, there's nothing left to do but suffer endlessly. Again, because of the body. The more you move towards the four great hells, right, from the heavens to the hells, suffering becomes more tactile. Suffering is more physical. Think about the heaven which has the most bliss, the most pleasure. Paranimittavasavarti, which is the sixth heaven, right? Suffering there is not physical. Suffering there is mental. Because whatever physical object you want, all you have to do is wish for it and it's there. It's like they've got a genie with them. Because of the merit that they've done, whatever physical object you want, all you have to do is wish for it. If you want ambrosia, which is the food that gods eat, all you have to do is wish for it and it's there. Whatever physical pleasure you want, just wish for it and it's there. Because that was the nature of the meritorious deeds that they did before they went there. And I encourage you to do such meritorious deeds so that you can go there. Yes? No. Not so that you can go there, so you can earn merit to help you attain Nibbana. What kind of merits am I talking about? You're walking on the road, right? There's a nail, and you think this could prick somebody, it could hurt somebody. Now what do? You can do one or two things. Ignore it, or pick it up. There's litter on the ground. You can do one of two things. Ignore it, pick it up. What about at home? There's dirt on the floor. What can you do? Ask Amma to do it, or ignore it? No. Get the broom, sweep it. When you do meritorious deeds without being prompted, when you engage in meritorious deeds, the merits you earn are magnanimous. Mammoth size. Merits that you earn through deeds which are unprompted. Through the feeling that comes in your own mind, I have to do good. I want to do good to somebody. I'm seeing something that is not right. I don't mean go and stop people fighting. We've talked about that in the past, right? Don't get involved in other people's affairs. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about other things, right? There's a tap leaking. How many people feel that it's duty, or feel that it's the right thing to do to go and close the tap? Most people will think, it's not my tap, it's not my water, so why do I care? You may not be like this, but think about a lot of people that you do know. A lot of people that you know. I can guarantee about this, right? A lot of people just turn a blind eye. A leaking tap. All you have to do is turn the tap, and that's it. Saves water. Why can't you do it? It's not my problem, isn't it? That's right. So why do I bother? They don't realize they're walking past a ticket to Paranimittavasavarti. At least if they knew that, they'd do it. But that is not why you and I should be doing these things. The only thing we can wish for, the only thing we can hope for in earning merit is getting our ticket to Nibbana. Right? So that was a sideline, but it's coming back to what we need to contemplate on now. The first half of the session we contemplated on what the future holds for us. You can only change the future by changing the present. If you don't change the present, Your future is what it will be, what it is today. If you want to change the future, change the present. Take action. So this is what we're going to do now. Take action. We're going to change the present. We're going to look at the causes that gave rise to the effect, which is this body, this physical body that brings us suffering and torture. This is the most sophisticated torture device. You know that? You all own your own personal edition, your own personal copy of the most sophisticated torture device ever invented. Yes or no? And aren't you proud of it? Look at how beautiful you look. How good looking your torture device is. 9 months in the making, and then you got the welcome gift, and then since then you've been embroidering it, beautifying it, coloring it, shading it, feeding it, washing it, clothing it, right? What was this all along? The world's most sophisticated torture device. Has it done anything other than torture you? So the cause of all this is our attachment to Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. See, now you have material to put on both sides of the weighing scale. The first half of the session, you feel one side of this, which is the Adinava side. These are the consequences that I'm going to have to bear. There's no running away from it now. Now let's look at the Ashvada. Because ultimately, this balance has to tip one way or the other. Right now it's already tipped. Which side is heavier? Really? Oh, you'd all be arahants by now then. Which side? Which side? Or at least you'll all be anagamis by now. It's the Ashvada side which has tipped. Because it's heavier. No matter how much Adina you keep putting on top of it, it's still not tipping. Because the Ashvada is so heavy. So now we have to dilute the Ashvada. We have to evaporate it. The trick to this is not just to keep adding onto the Adina side. While you're adding to this, you've got to take away from the other side. That's when this balance is slowly going to start to tip. You get me? So for that, now we have to contemplate on the Ashvada, the pleasure side. Because it's asking for this that got you that. You didn't ask for this, you wouldn't have gotten that. We asked for this, now we have to live with that. The answer is not to ask for this again. Not to want this again. Not to desire for this again. Come to that state of mind and you won't have to suffer again. So let's contemplate on the Ashvada. The fact that this is a lie. The fact that this is all made up. And use the example I gave you earlier on. If there's a part of the body that brings me pleasure, then I can understand if it might bring you pleasure. Therefore come and take it. But when there's not a single part of my body that can bring me pleasure, how on earth can it bring you pleasure? Apply it into your own lives. One of our strongest attachments is to the other sex. Right? The Buddha says there's no sight that a man finds more appealing than that of a woman. There's no sound that a man finds more appealing than the sound of the voice of a woman. There's no smell, there's no taste, there's no touch that a man finds more appealing than that of a woman. I say so? No, the Buddha said so. And the reverse is true as well. The opposite is true as well. There's no sight that a woman finds more appealing than the sight of a man. There's no sound that a woman finds more appealing than the voice of a man. Smell, taste, touch, and so on. When was the last time your voice brought you pleasure? So then why do you say to your partner, talk to me, honey, talk to me? When you open your mouth, I hear jingle bell, jingle bell. Why do we fool ourselves? This is a rotten game of foolery. That's what this is. So let's contemplate on the true source of pleasure. Think about the process I talked to you about. To give you pleasure, the only thing that can be fed into this process is vexation. Not sight, not sound, not smell, not taste, not touch, not rupa, not vedana, not sanya, sankara, or vijnana. The only thing that can be fed into this process is vexation, be that physical or mental. If you want physical pleasure, what must you feed into the process? Physical vexation. It hurts for me to keep my arm folded. What must I do? Now I can extend it and that feels good. But what did I feed into the process? The pain. Had there not been this pain, I wouldn't have been able to enjoy the pleasure that came out of extending my arm. And a headache is a really good example of that. We all ask for Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana, sight, sound, smell, taste and touch, and this is what you got. That's a rotten deal. I don't want to sign the paperwork again. Hopefully you don't either. Let's contemplate on that. Contemplate on the true source of Ashvada or pleasure. Contemplate on the fact that none of this brought me any pleasure. Right? Previously you used the chronoscope and looked into the future. This is all the adina that's coming. Right? Are you in any doubt, anyone, that it's coming? No, this is all coming. Total incapacitation is inevitable. But mental exasperation, that can be avoided. That's what we're working towards now. Because when the day comes that you want to open your eyes but you can't. You want to see something but you can't. You've either gone blind or you can't reach your glasses. That's blindness after all. Because your glasses are 6 inches away from the furthest point you can reach. But you can't go any further because of your hip replacement surgery. And you need someone's help for that. You say, Puta, can you please get me my glasses? Not now, Ami, I'm watching TV later. How are you going to feel when he says that? Of course, you can get angry. You can say, how dare you say like that? Come here right now. He will oblige. And then he'll shut the door. So that next time you can shout all you like and he's not going to hear it. Because children are so nice like that. Because that is what you taught them. Yes, sir. Yes. So abhisankara is the action that we take to relieve ourselves from vexation. You know, that reaching out for your glasses, why are you doing that? Because you want to see something. You're vexing for that sight. For the Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana that can only come from that sight, you're vexing for it. So therefore, this is abhisankara. Kaya abhisankara. Then Puta, what's that? Vachi abhisankara. And internally, mental turmoil. Mano abhisankara. All this abhisankara only so that you can relieve yourself from vexation. Because until you relieve yourself from vexation, you're in mental exasperation. Time did that to you. Only if you take the Dhamma, folks, I tell you, I swear by it, only if you take the Dhamma will you have any recluse. If you don't take the Dhamma, if you can't convince your mind that there is no pleasure in Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankara Vijnana, there is no pleasure to be found in sight, sound, smell, taste and touch. There is no pleasure to be found in anything in this world. If you can't convince your mind in time for the inevitable, you know I can't come over to your home and teach you the Dhamma. I can't come around to your place. This is why I'm trying to give you the gift of Dhamma so you can take it and make it yours, so you don't need anyone by your side to keep reminding you. Because one day I could, even if I did come, you can't hear me. Now? Why do you think I don't go to my grandmother? She's very frail. She can still hear me, but she can't make sense of what I'm saying. She's lost it. What's the use? What was the point of her 85 years of existence? When she's dying, such a lonely, lonesome, useless death. Having gained nothing. She came into this world with nothing. She's leaving this world with nothing. Except for a pile of suffering. What was the point of that life? It did wonders for me. Had it not been for my grandma, I wouldn't be here. But what did she do for herself? I can be sorry for her, but what else can I do? Are you waiting for the day when I'll be saying, I'm sorry for you? Are you waiting for the day where you're going to have to plead my mercy? Don't wait for that day. Today is the day we have to take action. Today, here, right now. Today. Because this day could be tomorrow. You could get a stroke tomorrow. You won't get it today, don't worry. Tomorrow. The Buddha was once approached by, I can't remember the names now, a lay person who walked up to him and said, Venerable Sir, my father just passed away, and I was at his deathbed, and he was talking to me and he was saying, thank you for looking after me, little brother. I'll see you later. So of course this man was perplexed. Why is my father calling me little brother? At this point, this man who approached the Buddha was only a Sotapanna. The other man, his father, was an Anagami. It was a Sakruthagami and an Anagami, I can't quite remember the details of the story, but he was certainly at a lesser noble state than the father was. So he's asking the Buddha, Venerable Sir, this person, my father, was a devotee of yours. He was always by your side, listening to your preachings, and is this what's happened to him? What is the point of us then following your path, the teaching that you give us, when after such a religious and devoted life that my father has lived, he's passed away as a man who's lost his mind? The Buddha said, that's what you think. That's not what he said. It might have been what he said, but that's not what he meant. You are just not intelligent enough to realize the profoundness of what he said. He called you little brother, implying that you are still a Sotapanna. Hurry up. I have attained a higher noble state than you are. Please don't cut that bit and post it out later on. I'm relating a story. Okay, I'm not talking about myself. The Buddha said, your father was talking about himself. In relation to you, he has attained a higher noble state. That's why he called you little brother. He was saying, hurry up. You had better hurry up. That's what he was saying. And at that point the Buddha gives a guarantee. He says, if you follow my teaching, and if you as much as attain the lowest state of Sotapanna, I guarantee that none of you will ever suffer from a mental illness. So if you're a Sotapanna, dementia is no longer a problem to you. It won't happen. Give me one other insurance against dementia. All you have to do is become a Sotapanna. No dementia. Yes. After that, there's not an illness that can take hold of your mind, that can throw you out, make you go insane. Because why do people go insane? Ultimately, it's disappointment. In one way, shape or form, it's ultimately disappointment. Because you have expected something and it hasn't worked out, hasn't turned out. Your expectations haven't been met. You can't bear the pain of that. Therefore, you go into that state of despair and disappointment and frustration and agony. Yeah. So shoka is the physical, dukkha is the physical aspect of it. Except for that, all the other states of suffering are mental. See what a guarantee the Buddha gives you. I don't have to sell this to you seriously, do I? Do I have to sell this to you? This is the most beautiful product there is. Most perfect in every single way. Given to us by the perfect one. How can it be flawed? Because it was given to us by the perfect one. There can't be a flaw in this. It just cannot be. This was gifted to us by the flawless one, by the perfect one, by the omniscient one, by the one who knew everything, about everything. So let's do this. If you do as I say, ladies and gentlemen, I guarantee you can do this. But you have to do as I say. At least 15 minutes a day you have to put time aside to practice in this. Otherwise, you're only coming here for the 20%. When are you going to be doing the 80? This has to happen someday. If you can't be bothered to do it now, well, you're going to have to do it in your next birth. What if your next birth is a dog? Then? How are you going to do it? Then you have to wait until you become a human being again, and then wait to get the 20 again. I'll tell you, I won't be around then. That much I can tell you. I'm not hanging around in samsara until you become accustomed to following the teaching. I haven't got the patience for that. So, it's action that is which matters. You have to do this. Do it and you will reap the results. You know, they say, the fruit is reserved for those who sow. The fruit is reserved for those who sow. If you don't sow, well, you won't reap the fruit. It's reserved for those who sow. Well then, sow it. You've been given the seed. Sow it. Take action. Let's try and meditate for about 15 minutes, given the time restrictions that we have. So, what we are going to contemplate on now is the true nature of Ashvada, because that is the cause. We have to treat the cause to make an effect on the result. We don't like the result, but there's no point in continuously contemplating on the Adinava. That alone is not enough. Once we've understood its true nature, now we have to look at the cause. What is it that brought me here? So what brought us here was attachment. Attachment because we were interested in pleasure. Pleasure which was just a lie. So now what I want you to do is the same body that you contemplated looking at the future, the same body that has been bringing you Adinava. Reflect on it, asking yourself, where's pleasure in any of this? Start from head to toe. Work your way through. You might not have time to go through the full thing, but take major parts of your body, like the things that you use most for the purpose of pleasure. Hands, face, eyes, tongue, right? Only you know that. Which bits of your body you use most for the purpose of pleasure. But you should know now that none of these parts are sources of pleasure, because pleasure can only be achieved from relief from vexation. So that is the truth. Think about the lie that you've been fooled with and apply the truth and then cleanse your mind of the defilements. Do you all understand what you have to do now? Okay, so we'll take a little time to do it. I'll aim to close for 6. So we have about another 25 minutes. And so we'll take about 15-20 minutes and then we'll close with transferring of merits. Okay. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. May I and all beings and all worlds be healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. Healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. Healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. May I and all beings in all worlds be healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. Healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. Healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. May I and all beings in all worlds be healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. Healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. Healed with the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. Okay. You may open your eyes now. There was most certainly not enough time to contemplate on the aspect of pleasure and vexation and the true source of it and the fallacy of pleasure. I mean, a lifetime's not enough for that, let alone 15 minutes. But really this is all that's worth doing. This is why we were born human, so that we could get this done. Right? This is the purpose of having been born human. So while it may seem like we're just going on about the same thing over and over and over again, well, what have you been doing in your life? Same thing? Over and over and over and over again. You've been doing the same thing over and over and over again. I'm telling you to do something else, but just saying it over and over and over again, what's the difference? The only difference is you don't find this interesting. I don't mean you sitting in front of me, but there may be others who listen to these sermons in future, maybe those listening online, perhaps. Because I'm in no doubt that this is not everyone's cup of tea. Not everyone will enjoy this. Not everyone will keep coming along to the meditation sessions. That's why we fixed it one day of the month, because with time, people are going to start dropping off, and then one day you're going to say, Swami Maharaj, let's just do the sermon. Because this is not fun. But I'll tell you though, it's only not fun while it seems unusual, and until you get the hang of it. After that, there's nothing more fun than this. To contemplate on the Dhamma, there is nothing more satisfying than that. Because with every contemplation, with every reflection on the Dhamma, at least a tiny bit, it could be just a modicum, just a tiny bit of attachment is eroded, gone once and for all, never to come back again. So the more times you keep doing this, this comes with the number of repetitions. The more times you keep doing this, the closer you will get to ultimate bliss. That is the purpose of life. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the purpose of life. So you can attain Nibbana. Nothing else. Every single other thing you do is only a means to an end. So when you get home, in your 15-minute sessions, which some of you do, is that okay for me to say it like that? Which all of you do? Can I be bold enough and say that? I'll say it, so it makes you feel bad. Okay? Those 15-minute sessions that all of you do, you know, that one? Yeah, that one. So in those sessions, contemplate on some of the points that we've talked about today. Right? You know, if you have, so of course we've all got 7 days of the week, and if you can find the 15-minute sessions every day of the week, with the different karmasthana that we practice during the meditation sessions we'll have, there will be ones which you will find more, you'll get into more rhythm with it. It will feel more natural to you. Right? So perhaps in your weekly schedule on Monday, you can do Arya-Maitri. On Tuesday, you can contemplate on Udavima Vaivim, this arising and passing away, and how that, because 15 minutes is not a long time. It will go like that. So we're not talking about a great deal of time where you can do lots. Right? So perhaps Wednesday, you can think about and contemplate on the source of pleasure. Where does pleasure come from? Again, it might be the same thing that you did last week, but it's okay because this is the truth, this is what you need to contemplate on. Remember, from a Pruthakjana all the way to an Arahant, what did the Buddha say? Reflect on Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, nothing else. There's only one medicine to cure all illnesses. So this is the same medicine you have to keep applying. You can get bored of it, but if you stop, well, it's your loss. So, like that, every day of the week, if there are certain karmasthana that you want to practice but you can't fit it all into a 15-minute slot, then don't try and fit lots into a 15-minute slot. That's not effective. Because you need time with this. Not do as many as possible. It's the do as much as possible of the same thing. So, if you have only 15 minutes, if you have only half an hour, then just contemplate on one thing. Sometimes an 8-hour day or an 8-hour meditation shift, we'll just contemplate on one meditation object. At the monastery, we do sometimes like that. All day contemplating on just one thing. Sometimes it's the essenceless nature of the karma world. That's all we'll be contemplating on. Because how detailed and deep can you go? Depends on your wisdom. How far you can go. How far you can penetrate depends on how far you can see. But the further you go, the further you can go. It's like walking in the dark when you've only got a torch. When you hold the torch, you can only see so far. If you want to see further, what must you do? What must you do? Walk up as far as you can go. Then, you see further. So the further you go, the further you can go. So it only comes with practice. And think about what I talked about time today. Right? None of us are winners here. We're all losers. We came in losers and we're going to walk away losers. The Buddha says, Pamada manayunjanti bala dumme dinojana appamadancha medavi dhanang settangva rakkati. Pamada manayunjanti. He who delays, procrastinates and puts off the practice with all sorts of excuses, and at the same time indulges and engages in defiling activities. Bala dumme dinojana. Balya is a balya. Balya is an ignorant person. An ignorant, unwise, foolish person. So he's talking about, who is he talking about here? No, not you, right? Next door. You, because you don't have excuses, right? You all do your 15 minutes every day, yeah? So he's not talking about you, so we don't need to worry about that. So he's talking about those who don't do the 15 minutes a day. He's talking about those people who come up with excuses all the time, right? Not you, don't worry. He calls Balev, ignorant, unwise, foolish people. Appamadancha Medavi, one who is not tardy, one who doesn't keep putting things off. Pramada has lots of meanings, Pahama, right? There's all sorts of that as well. But I'm talking about, let's take the simplest meaning here, the most straightforward meaning. One who doesn't keep putting off practicing, who is earnest in their practice, faithfully and religiously will keep practicing the path, will keep doing the 80%. This is the 80% he's talking about. Appamadancha Medavi. Medavi is someone who's a wise person. This is a wise person. Dhanang settang rakkati. The time that he needs to practice, he values his time like the most precious wealth. So this is what I'm saying about life, your human life. This is the most precious gift you've got. Remember, we're all living on borrowed time. It's not ours to keep. Ever since you started living it, you've been paying it back. You're going to keep paying it back. They're going to keep taking away from it until you've repaid in full. It's like the debt collectors living with you. Living at home. You've got a live at home debt collector. Always collecting your debt. Pay back. Come on. You borrowed. Come on, give it back. Always saying give it back. So protect it. Look after it like it's your most precious wealth. Nothing else is more precious than your human life. Not all the money in your account, not all your children, not all your houses, not all your properties. Nothing. You could be the president of the country, you could be the president of the world, you could be Sakriti Raja. You could be the Sakka. And rule over the 4 kingdoms, Chatur Maharajike, and the 33 kingdoms, Tavatimse. You could rule all 6 heavens. But that's not what's most precious. Your human life is most precious. So protect it, and it's not just so you can keep it to one side and keep looking at it passing by. Make use of it. Your time, your life, your body, these are all tools that you've been given. These are all equipment you've been given for one purpose. And that one purpose is your salvation. Your vimukti. Get it done. Because once you've gotten it done, that's it, you can relax. Put your feet up and then just watch the world play cat and dog. Then you'll be free. After that, you've got nothing else to do. After you've done this one thing, there's nothing else left to do. How about that? After you've gotten this one thing done, there's nothing more left to do. Now it doesn't matter whether you wake up or not. You can sleep all you like after that. How does that sound, Buddha? You can play all you like. Your Xboxes, Nintendos, right? Whatever you want, you can play all you like. See? You don't play it anyway. Good boy. You can play all the cricket you like. You can watch all the cricket you like, right? You can womanize all you like, if that's what floats your boat, right? You can indulge yourself in all types of sensuality. You can roam the world. You can do all that after you've gotten this done. So just get this done first, and then rest of your life, live it to the fullest. Just get this done. Because if you leave this to do later and do everything else now, then you can regret at leisure. You can regret at your leisure. So don't wait for that day to come. Okay. Let us transfer merits and we will bring today's session to a close. You've all been great, by the way. Well done on everyone. Well done to everyone who fought a real battle there to stay awake. I could see the determination in some of your faces. Some of you even chanting, or at least saying out, you were moving, you were mumbling, saying out your karmasthana. The body is just make sure the person sat next to you can't hear you, because then otherwise it could be distracting. But otherwise, whatever you have to resort to fight sleep, do it. It'll all be worthwhile. Because after that, you can sleep all you like. Surely that's a good deal, right? If you want to sleep all you like, there's only one thing you need to do. Become an arahant. Then I won't trouble you. Then we'll actually have a session. Right? We'll invite arahants among you, and we'll lay out, not chairs, we'll actually lay out beds. 4-poster beds, right? Double mattresses, we'll air condition, right? Full comforts, all luxury. We'll feed you first as whatever you like to eat, right? 10-course meal. And then we'll give you a spa, a sauna, right? Massage, whatever you like. The full works. We'll even do a pedicure and a manicure, if that's what you fancy. We'll do your eyebrows, we'll do everything, right? For the ladies and gents, if that's what you like, right? And then we'll let you sleep. You can wake up when you want to wake up. Why? Because that will earn us so much merit. Because you have become an arahant. So let's just wait until that day. Until that day comes, do everything in your power to get that done. After that, you've done everything there is to do. That's it. Okay. Is it in English today? Or is it Sinhala? Sinhala? Okay. So we'll chant the Arya Maitri and transformate and close the program. Mamada siyalu loka siyalu satmayo sansara dahayen midetma sansara rogayen midetma sansara anduren midetma sansara ginnen midetma Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhita taravetma Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhita taravetma Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhita taravetma Mamada Siyalu loka, siyalu satmayo Raga bandhanayen midetma Dvesha bandhanayen midetma Moha bandhanayen midetma Mara bandhanayen midetma Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhita taravetma Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhita taravetma Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhita taravetma Mamada Siyalu loka, siyalu satmayo Jati ginnen midetma Jara ginnen midetma Vyadhi ginnen midetma Marana ginnen midetma Nibbana parama sukhayen Sukhita taravetma Nibbana parama sukhayen Sukhita taravetma Nibbana parama sukhayen Sukhita taravetma Mamada siyalu loka සියලු සත්වයෝ ශෝක ගින්නෙන් මිදෙත්වා පරිදේවයෙන් මිදෙත්වා දුක්ඛ ගින්නෙන් මිදෙත්වා දෝමනස්සයෙන් මිදෙත්වා උපායාසයෙන් මිදෙත්වා යම් පිච්ඡං ලබති තම්පි දුක්ඛයෙන් මිදෙත්වා සංකිත්තේන පංචෝපාදානස්කන්ධයෙන් මිදෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා කාම ලෝක අනාතයි එයින් මිදෙත්වා රූප ලෝක අනාතයි එයින් මිදෙත්වා අරූප ලෝක අනාතයි එයින් මිදෙත්වා සියලු ලෝක අනාතයි එයින් මිදෙත්වා අතහැරීම අනාතයි අතහැරීම වෙත්වා නොඇල්ම අනාතයි නොඇල්ම වෙත්වා මිදීම අනාතයි මිදීම වෙත්වා නිවනම අනාතයි නිවනම වෙත්වා නිවනම අනාතයි නිවනම වෙත්වා නිවනම අනාතයි නිවනම වෙත්වා නිවනම අනාතයි නිවනම වෙත්වා. Okay. So let's all take a moment to transfer the merits that we have all acquired today. First and foremost, as we did at the beginning, let's all take a moment to remind ourselves that it's because of the Supremely Enlightened One, the Perfect One, the Omniscient One, the infinitely compassionate being, that is the Supreme Buddha, that we have the gift of Dhamma today. It is because of His infinite compassion and His dedication and commitment towards the salvation and liberation of all sentient beings that you and I have today been able to find the path to redeem ourselves from the shackles of samsara. Let us also take a moment to transfer merits to the Bhikkhu, Bhikkhunis, Upasaka, Upasikas, who since time immemorial dedicated their lives on some occasions to protecting and preserving the Dhamma and sacrificed their lives on many an occasion. It is thanks to them that today we have the Tripitaka, which we can study, analyze, understand and comprehend and help us to walk the path of Dhamma. May they all be able to rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today. There is also transfer merits to all the members of the Mahasangha, wherever they may reside throughout this world. It is they who have dedicated their lives to practicing the path, and not only for their own salvation but also to help others walk the path of Dhamma. All those monks as well as nuns who have dedicated their lives to this cause, and in also putting aside time towards their liberation and salvation, they have carved out time to help you in your issues and worries and troubles that you have in your own life, as well as to help you attain Nibbana. Being grateful about that, particularly about the monks and nuns who are resident in your local temples, in your local nunneries. Let us take a moment to transfer merits to all of them. May through the power of these merits, they be able to fulfill the path that they have dedicated their lives to. May they be able to abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. There is also transfer merits to the Devas, Brahmas, spirits, demons and the dead. Those ancestors of yours who have predeceased us, and all those sentient beings who we will have come across in samsara, those beings who will have been mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, uncles, aunts, nephews, nieces, grandparents, husbands and wives and children, employees, employers, whatever capacity in which they might have worked with us or lived with us throughout this infinitely long journey in samsara. In whatever way, shape or form they might have contributed to our well-being, may they all be able to rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today. May these merits be a repayance of the debts that we owe them. May through the power of these merits, if any of them have been born in the woeful planes, they will redeem themselves and be born in the blissful planes. May through the power of these merits, they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let's also take a moment to transfer merits to all the members of all the Swami Nuances and the Anagarikas who are resident in this monastery, as well as those among you who are here today in person, as well as those who are unable to be here in person, but who are hearing their sentiments and send on and pass on their well wishes, as well as those who helped organize this event and helped make your presence here as comfortable as they could, in making the facilities available to you, in providing you with transport, in providing you with the facilities to be able to sit down and listen to this sermon, as well as to practice the Dhamma and meditate during the time you have spent here today. May they all be able to rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today, as well as those who have dedicated time out of their lives to disseminating this Dhamma in audio form as well as in written form. In whatever capacity they have been able to dedicate themselves, may they all be able to rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today. May through the power of these merits they all be able to redeem themselves abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer merits to the members of the armed forces, as well as the police force who have dedicated themselves and committed themselves to protecting and preserving our nation. It is thanks to them that today you and I can live in peace and harmony. It is because of them that today you are able to spend time here today, not worrying about your friends, not worrying about your family, and be able to practice the path without worry and fear. May they all be able to rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today, as well as in the troubles we have had lately and the 30-year-old long war that we have had to endure. All those who might have lost their lives, be they friend or foe, may they all be able to rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today, as well as those men and women who might have lost their lives in natural calamities and disasters such as the tsunamis. May they all be able to rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today. If anyone's out there looking for merits, may they all be able to rejoice in these merits. May through the power of these merits they be able to redeem themselves from the woeful planes and be born in the blissful planes. May through the power of these merits they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And finally, may through the cause of the merits that we have all acquired today, in making your offerings to the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, as well as in listening to the Dhamma, in preaching the Dhamma, in practicing Anicca Dukkha Anatta, may through the merits that we have all acquired today, in engaging in an infinitely vast amount of meritorious deeds, may the power of those merits energize and empower all those men and women just like yourselves who live throughout the world and have dedicated their lives to practicing the path, to be able to do so, and may through them we be able to witness the advent of many hundreds of thousands of Arahatan Nuances in this blessed land, in our very lives itself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And may you and I and everyone who has committed to this cause and who have contributed to this cause in any way, shape or form be able to become one of those Arahatan Nuances, be able to become one of those Arahat Mehani Nuances in this life itself, and in the era of the Gautama Supreme Buddha itself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. The members of the Mahasangha will now transfer their blessings to you. Raga ginnen midetwa, dvesha ginnen midetwa, moha ginnen midetwa, Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhita taravetva. Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhita taravetva. Mamada siyalu loka siyalu satmayo Nibbana parama sukhayen සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා. තුනුරුවන්ගේ සුවිසි අනන්ත මහා ගුණ බලෙන් සියලු ලෝක සියලු සත්වයෝම නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the fires of desire. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the fires of aversion. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the fires of delusion. May I and all beings in all worlds attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. May the noble triple gem be with you all forever. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu, anumodami. Sadhu, anumodita. Kamami kamitabban. Kamami supatyatva. Kamami guna vruddhima vetva. Kamami tapo vruddhima vetva nibbana param sukhen sukhitara vetva.